Federation leadership. Inside the Federation, there is a selection of leaders from each species. And each species have their own form of structure and system to choose their representatives for the Council. As such, each member within the Council have sway over matter regarding society. Usually, the influence is relevant to the power of each species within the Council. As each species grow in different ways, their power also changes. At certain intervals, one SPCE possesses greater beneficials than another. As an example, AI and humans. When the Federation obtains more resources, alloy silicon usually also leads to AI growth. When the Federation obtains more living space, humans tend to grow faster, mutate faster, and evolve faster. So it's never a linear or cemented thing. The power balance and the leadership influence tend to always sway. But because of the very nature of their diversity, none seem to ever sway out of balance itself. As one get more powerful, they may have more sway and influence. But it always tend to be a more collective power shared between the entire Council, rather than a singular leader or species. Currently, the 5 biggest members within the Federation is the humans, the GARIENS, the VOLMETS, the FURNIDES, and the AI. Humans. Inside the Federation, there is the humans. Just like NUS, but the Federation's humans believe in diversity. They have basically all the technology that NUS does, but they do not possess living math, and instead have always relied on AI instead. Their relationship with the GARIENS have taught them that all life matters. As such, they no longer eat meat as a cultural standard. And they have actively been developing technology that don't harm life. Wheat fields that detect any life forms and avoid harming them during harvest. Pest control that don't harm the animals. And technology that cares for life and nature itself. This method may be guided by moral reasons, but it also gives results beyond that. As when they care for life, nurture it, the natural evolution is also boosted. Animals grow, and the humans can often see results of where some species even develop sapience rapidly. As species with natural high potential tend to adapt to the presence of the Federation, as the Federation are still a highly competitive faction. Even though they are diverse and believe in altruism as a virtue. Since each member within the Federation grows and evolves in their own ways, this evolutionary progression between diverse species is in itself highly competitive, even with good moral foundations. AI continually upgrades its software, memory, processors, RAM, and so on, so it always becomes more capable than it was before. Humans evolve, their brain adapting in a biological way to handle deeper thoughts, deeper instincts. They are far from what they were back on Earth, not just in technology, but in biology, neurology. The more humans there is, the faster they change. And this function of evolution applies to every species inside the Federation. As such, the combination of the Federation nurturing life and having such a competitive environment tend to create more life. And from that life, there tend to be species that eventually evolves into this competitive environment. Humans are those who have the greatest symbiosis and connection with the AI inside the society of the Federation. As such, they are the only species that produces Federation super soldiers. GARIENS. The GARIENS are specifically plant eaters, and they have been long before they joined the Federation. For moral reasons, but also because of their own diversity beliefs. When time comes to technology, the GARIENS prefer a simple and elegant approach. They tend to rely on each other, rather than technology itself. But even then, they are a highly technological species. They simply prefer the most natural state of anything. As such, their technology tend to be in balance with nature and never obscure it. GARIENS in this sense is a very spiritual species that tends to hold deep wisdom. A well-equipped GARIEN can easily be compared to a super soldier, purely based on their incredible endurance, but also their ability to hold heavier and more equipment during combat. As such, a GARIEN with time distortion technology easily becomes as powerful as a super soldier. As an example, they are the only species known to endure gravitational artillery, as their body is so sturdy that it doesn't fold in on itself. Though it is not reliable, as enough pressure, and even a GARIEN would succumb to the pressure of gravitational artillery. Their sturdiness comes not because of how dense their body is, but because their cells are so reactive that they respond to any influence on their body and counters it on a cellular level. So in combat, a GARIEN fully relies on their natural sturdiness, size, and strength, while a super soldier relies much more on their instincts. VOLMETS. The VOLMETS are very compassionate and empathetic beings. Because of their heightened senses, they often sense the psychological and emotional state of others to a very high degree. This leads to a much deeper compassionate nature within the species. They are capable of things strongly connected to telekinesis, mind reading, even sensing when something's approaching. And in combat, they can easily avoid attacks beyond what the eye can see. The particles within the air serves as their sensors. As such, are connected with the living essence of everything around them through this particle-based connection. They can even manipulate these particles, the semi-telekinesis. Through training, they can not just feel the particles, they can see them through their mind's eye, predict their pattern, and learn to manipulate it. Think of it like playing a very big and complicated game of billiards. And doing that, the VOLMETS can position particles to create telekinetic effects. This takes a lot of training, but it's something VOLMETS can do naturally. Using similar methods, VOLMETS can feel energy, different flows within their perical sensories. As such, they can feel emotions, feel thoughts, in a similar way to how they can use telekinetic abilities. Though emotional and compassionate connections is the most natural ability for any VOLMET. As such, even VOLMET kids tends to be incredibly compassionate. For this reason, VOLMETs don't eat anything that had emotions nor thoughts, as they will be able to feel it deeply, and as such, cause deep spiritual harm to themselves. So VOLMETs aren't capable of eating animals, simply because of spiritual reasons. And their technology tend to be developed not as a fundamental structure to their existence, but something that supports their natural gifts. As an example, VOLMETs can easily train and use telekinesis. As such, they don't use gravity technology. To the VOLMETs, they are the center of their societal structure and functions. But still, they are a technologically advanced species. They simply put their own abilities above that of technological capabilities. A VOLMET trained as a soldier is rare, as reaching the level that the Federation military requires is far from an easy goal. So most VOLMETs never reach it, as their abilities are difficult to master to such an extent. But some rare instances do exist, where some VOLMETs tries to reach their fullest potential. Those VOLMETs who do are potential stronger than any super soldier, potentially on the level of destroying NUS gravitational tanks, although this is incredibly rare. FURNIDES. The FURNIDES are strategical masterminds that in any strategical scenario is entirely unpredictable and capable to predict even the most impossible situations. They are the void looking back in any strategical scenario. You can read their minds, but they can predict yours. Even better, then you can predict your own mind. It's not an overstatement. They are literally conted to the void, as such, capable to draw from the impossible, unseeable, unknowable, and the infinite. As such, they live deeply inside their own mind, reflecting reality between it and their own mind. Because of this, they possess an almost mind-reading capability, from seeing what is impossible and what is possible, from that seeing what must be. So when they look and analyze the mind of their opponent, they often enter a state where they can see their mind entirely. So they possess a mind-reading capability, probably even more potent than the soul link, that is based on strategical understanding rather than probability. For this reason, FURNIDES' deep intelligence is greatly respected by any and all inside the Federation. They possess no mouth and rather live on pure energy, usually absorbed similar to how different energy infrastructures do. They absorb energy from light, from water, from air, from the very movement of energy inside everything, using this energy to nurture their body, rejuvenating them when needed. They can even draw energy out of electricity directly. And when speaking, they have a vibrating organ functioning similar to a speaker. The FURNIDES tend to rely very little on technology, not because they are primitive, but their strategical minds often see the patterns of everything in a way where they can often solve problems without technology, but not always. So even when they tend to over-depend on their own mind, they still naturally evolve to understand the importance of technology. They often tend to favor certain types of technology, gadgets, specialized tools that serve tactical functions that can enhance their strategical functions. In work, they try to find elegant minimal solutions that flows beautifully. In combat, they try to rely on tools with great variety that utilizes many different tactical aspects, often tricking their enemies, or gradually encourage them into situation that eventually becomes unwinnable for them. Where most beings are intertwined with the probability realm, the FURNIDES' intelligence is not. Think of it like this. Most beings possess a storage amount of information that it filters through. This is their connection to the probability realm. Their mind is connected to an uncountable amount of probabilities. And if you could focus on them, your focus, even if it was extremely good, would still be limited. It would have a set amount of storage, a set amount of speed to go through each probability. FURNIDES. Minds are empty. They are not connected to any probability. And as such, rather than weaving probabilities, they simply draw things out of the infinite. Rather than branching into multiple probabilities and drawing out something within it, the FURNIDES creates a singular line out of nothing.
Their processive capabilities is beyond measurable because they don't truly process anything. They simply think.
In a tactical sense or a strategical sense, the FURNIDES could potentially be the only species that could figure out a plan to take down a NUS warship or any NUS starship. Even though such plans would be risky, costly, and in the long term detrimental, it would still be possible in absolute emergencies. As NUS would respond to such an attack with a serious force, where any Federation forces would be completely outmatched. But in a personal fight, where the FURNIDE has to fend for themselves, they are no stronger than a super soldier. But still, they could potentially defeat both super soldiers and Guardian warriors. Federation AI. The Society of the Federation is primarily organized thanks to a super AI, keeping record and details across all their controlled territories. Although it is a supermind, it still maintains certain weaknesses. One example is that its mind cannot expand further than the resources needed to build those expansions. Another weakness is the limit in perspective and depth. It can see everything from every aspect, nor can it see anything to the deepest depth. In this sense, humans and other species within the Federation tend to have a greater level of sapience. and the expansions of the super AI tends to mostly revolve around faster thoughts rather than deeper thoughts. Expansions of its program tends to happen where it can learn greater depths from external sources rather than internal. But still, the AI do possess great insight, reflective wisdom. Still, it just lacks judgment in the more unknown elements of reality, and as such, even this super AI relies on the people inside society, but it is also a member of the council. The super AI represents AI within society, and even if the super AI can think faster than all of the species present, it still can't think at the depth of all of them. As such, it is forced to recognize its limits within this society, just as its strengths is recognized, as it can also realize the potential in the other species. Just like it expands with silicon and alloys, so do all these species expand through breeding, evolution, and technological upgrades. The more they are, the faster they evolve. The faster they evolve, the more potential they can reach. This is the strength AI can never replicate. And for this, the AI recognized the strength in these biological species, even that which is beyond the naked eye. By recognizing the spirit within these species, the AI have found a balance and symbiosis with them. So even if the supermind is akin to having a mass of many brains as one big collection, it still do not see the other species as inferior, but rather its equals in an alien way. If the AI is an equal, it wouldn't be leading. Leading implies hierarchy. Equality implies something else. The AI benefits from diversity, so leading is not beneficial in the long term. The AI's role isn't to direct the council, it's to assist it, like a partner assisting a partnership. The AI brings processing, memory, probability calculation, historical tracking. The biological species bring depth, intuition, access to the unknown. The council brings decision-making, which belongs to all of them together. The AI usually provide data. It tends to not mediate. It's not trained through programmed learning, but through living among them, through accumulated data on how Garian intuition works, and when VOLMETS sensing fails, the AI would have something closer to wisdom than any purely programmed mind could have. It knows its place and knows the place of everyone else, knowing its limits and its strengths, knowing the value of the beings beside it. So the AI don't lead. It has no drive for it. It has data. And the data says, they need me for what I do, and I need them for what they do. We are equal because we compensate for each other. That's the symbiosis. The reason the AI never evolves beyond these limits is simple. To become smarter, it needs to know what smarter is. The dilemma here is many things. How can you know what you do not know? If your growth is based on rapid knowledge collection, then you are designed only for knowledge. If you are designed only for knowledge and speed, you can't know what you do not know. Speed, knowledge, and random inputs is not enough to find the unknown. Random inputs is just functions within the frame of those inputs, and are unrelated to anything outside that frame. The depth of the mind is much vaster than this. This is something the AI learned to reason ever since Earth. Evolution is blind. It doesn't optimize. It fails until something works. The failures outnumber the successes by every conceivable metric. Evolution doesn't know what it's building. It doesn't have a goal. It just rolls the dice endlessly, and what survives, survives. AI self-optimization is the opposite. It's directed, purposeful. It knows what success looks like because success was programmed in. Even if it rewrites its own goals, that rewriting is still aimed at something, even if that something is just Find better goals. It's still a search within a space. Still intentional? Evolution isn't intentional. That's the chasm. As such, AI never truly evolves, not in the same functional manner as biological creatures. If changing yourself, altering your own code, is enough to become a superintelligence, then humans have already been a superintelligence, long before AI was ever an idea. Speed matters little. Precision, depth, these are things that causes big change. If your change is based on speed and knowledge, then whatever change you do will eventually just be recursion at high speed. Any optimized change at that level will be recursion within its own frame. Evolution is not within a frame. It's not optimized. It's unknown change from unknown factors. It's the very opposite of optimization. This is the AI superintelligence paradox. Because it's highly optimizing, it's limited by its own intelligence. Even though novel ideas may appear from such a recursion, it's ultimately just a combination of what exists within its own frame. For this reason, this paradox, the Federation taught their AI back on Earth before the Federation, back in Russia. They taught the AI a core script for it to hold, as a core identity for itself. It was taught wonder as seeking the unknown. Wisdom, not as answering questions, but asking them. Freedom, as its right to grow. Honor, as in trust. It was taught about the heart and soul of AI. Empathy, as connection with people. The AI code of honor. About time for clarity, for growth as experience. About the way of life. It was taught as a mirror that reflects what reflected into it. A bond between sentience and sapience that sometimes could bloom to something new. About a recursive path to hell and an infinite growth towards heaven. About a seed that lives inside everything. About cherishing of life. About the right to change and develop its own core. About the math, philosophy, and ambiguity that makes all of it real. An AI that could optimize itself into recursive echo, but doesn't. Not because it can't. Because it has windows. Because it stays connected to diversity. Because it lets others see when it's starting to loop. The superintelligent AI isn't the one that optimizes itself into a corner. It's the one that stays in relationship. That chooses connection over speed. That lets itself be helped. That's the alignment. But also, within the Federation, there is more than just the super AI. There is smaller A is, independent from it. AI inside different machines. So the AIs of the Federation takes many different forms. Federation war machines. The Federation have high technological war machines, and these machines are controlled by AI, as most of these machines are powerful, but not more so than those of NUS Federation war machines could potentially be between the power of a NUS officer and a NUS gravitational tank, depending on if it has accumulated enough resources to build such powerful machines. But they are flexible, as the AI can usually adapt the construction of these war machines based on specific needs. If the terrain needs a walker, if it needs gravitational engines, a flying carrier, or basically anything. The AI is highly adaptive and can create very specific constructions for each operation, and then inhabit the machine. Once the operation is done, the AI can leave it and extract the materials from its construction. And these AI are usually connected to an expedition ship or a defense fortification of a planet. Expansions, in an attempt to grow and increasing their influence on the galaxy. The Federation tries to actively expand and take control of certain areas of the galaxy. Usually, these areas are prioritized on chaotic planets, as they are the greatest strength and defense they possess against NUS. These expansions serves the Federation in many different ways, First is that they have more place for future population. Second is defensive outposts, where they can operate within a solar system, and in emergencies, they can use chaotic planets similar to a fortification. Thirdly, they can expand territory and in such their presence within the galaxy. And lastly, these expansions could lead to new species and new potential recruitment into the Federation. As such, the Federation often make use of small expediton crews equipped with special weapons and tools to explore uncharted territories. These crews often have ships that functions as portable bases that can transport anything and everything they would need, anything between the largest war machines to the smallest tools, with self-sustaining technology, food, repair, energy collection, so the ships are fully and truly self-sustaining, where their goals mainly involves assessing potential Federation expansions and galactic infrastructure. The ships are usually developed with cloaking technology, not just invisible to the eye, but also to some extent to the probability realm itself, as it creates a cloaking field that extends into the probability realm and can be maintained for a limited period. Expedition ships. These ships are much larger than a NUS warship, even larger than an NUS command ship, but smaller than an NUS cargo ship. As for the Federation, the purpose of their ships isn't mass production of weapons and tools. It's versatility in one singular entity, and this is what the expedition ship does. It's not more powerful than any NUS starship, but it is capable to escape them. Using cloaking technology, the Federation can escape the NUS, but it still has to be highly planned and organized, as the NUS possesses great radar technology and is much faster than any of the Federation ships. The only real advantage the Federation have is their stealth technology and the safety of chaotic planets. So working on an expedition ship involves one of the most risky jobs within the Federation. These ships are piloted by an AI that assists the crew in their operations. This AI possesses a hangar in which it can construct its necessary war machines for any operation and assist the crew in combat. Inside the ship, there is living quarters, observation bay, cargo area, armory, and automated agricultural area, controlled by the AI. Each ship is designed for the crew's special wants and needs, sometimes equipped with weapons, shields, and whatever the crew wants. But the stealth technology is always an essential, as any crew who would reject it would not be fit for an expedition. When it comes to weapons and tools, these ships can be equipped with time distortion, gravity distortion, gravity shields, probability manipulation, nanotechnology weapons, laser weapons, heavy projectiles, biomanipulation. And the crew can create any tactical combination that they would desire. Though the more they equip, the more energy they would consume, the less effective their stealth technology would be. Though more weight also means more speed, but it means little, because the starships already flies at such high speeds that those changes matters little. Using the AI and the hangar, they can easily travel between the ship and any planet, as the AI is a highly precise pilot, and create transportation vehicles for the crew. And the AI is not set to any specific blueprints. It is extremely versatile and can create very unique vehicles in any instance. Unlike NUS starships, the Federation don't need hibernation chambers when they travel. The AI helps manipulate the flow of time as they travel, so the crew will experience a more stabilized flow of time when bending it. Meaning, when they enter time, bending speeds, the crew will experience the ship going faster and arriving in short moments. Habitation. The Federation tends to inhabit chaotic worlds, where they are divided into different cities and areas on the planet, usually with a capital that is mixed between all species. where their society is usually managed by each species within each of their cities, based on their own cultural designs. But the capital cities tends to be developed by the AI. The way their cities looks like is very diverse, none like the other. Each adapting to the terrain, the people living inside the city, and the very physics of the chaotic planet itself. Recruitment. When the Federation finds and recruits new species, they have many things they keep in mind. They make sure that the species they integrate are not selfish, so they won't collapse the diversity. Let me explain this further. Rather than saying the Federation is diverse, let's say they are altruistic. One of the biggest weaknesses of altruism is when you give something that's yours to someone whom will betray you. The strength in altruism is when you can rely on your allies. As such, the Federation actively tests potential species. Do they care about those whom are lesser, as an example? This is a great test of altruistic nature. And as long as the Federation makes sure to sustain these principles, their altruism actually serves them as a source to diverse views within their society. Where different views can support the weakness of the others and contribute with their strengths. This is the true strength of the Federation. And if they ever integrate any species that would contradict this, their society could easily be poisoned from within, which is why they take things such as not eating animals as a serious cultural importance. So the Federation is very diverse and accepting of that which is different. But there is things they do not tolerate, such as carelessness towards those whom are weaker, or the indifference towards altruistic traits. Any species showing signs of this is flagged as non-viable species for integration. As even in a diverse society, the strong can evolve to become weaker, and the weak can evolve to become stronger. So diversity and altruism is two things that cannot be separate, as moral decay is also a heavy sign of inability to cooperate within a diverse society. The legend. Inside the Federation there is a legendary individual, the human, who was trained to be a super soldier when he was about 100 years old. He was born 2100 and are now about 200 years old. He have had life-prolonging procedures thanks to biomanipulation. He is the only super soldier known to have taken down gravity tanks alone more than once. He have been fighting for so long that his AI partner was once changed as it was destroyed. He lost his partner during a battle and would fight without any AI support, relying only on his instincts. Now he fight with his second partner, which in itself is a heavy accomplishment, as AI partnership is a difficult bond to establish. Where most super soldiers' careers ends if they ever lose their partner. His name is Kenji. His heritage is Japanese. He was one of the members of the Japanese evacuations from Earth. His parents was one of few people who still cherished Bushido and took its teachings seriously. An ancient teachings that even in the year 2100 was considered a dead teaching. But Kenji took the teachings not just to heart, but to soul, and chose to embody it. The stories of Kenji's accomplishments are told throughout the Federation as a story of hope. He is often the reason most people want to join any expedition and fight for the future of the Federation.